Now, please welcome to the stage to share brief remarks, the Vice President of Public Policy at Amazon, Ashley De La Torre.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is, as you heard, Ashley De La Torre, and I'm Vice President of Public Policy at Amazon. Thank you. On behalf of Amazon and my colleagues who are here today, and the many communities we serve, I'm thrilled to be here as a sponsor of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Legislative Summit. Buenos días y gracias. Mi nombre es Ashley De La Torre y soy vicepresidente de Políticas Públicas para Amazon. Estoy encantada de apoyar este evento. I just want to share a few brief remarks about Amazon's work supporting Hispanic-owned small businesses. And you saw a little bit about that, just a few examples in the video we just showed. We're a proud partner of the Chamber and your work. We're excited to sponsor this legislative summit because it's important to Amazon and especially our public policy team that issues affecting the Latino business community are at the forefront of policy conversations in DC and beyond, and that Latino leaders are always at the table. 25 years ago, Amazon welcomed independent sellers to sell alongside us in our store. Since then, sellers have thrived in our marketplace, and today, more than 60% of sales on Amazon come from independent sellers, most of which are small and medium-sized businesses. In a recent survey from the Small Business Roundtable and Morning Consult, 93% of small business owners agree that selling on Amazon has led to greater business success. The businesses selling on Amazon store are at the heart of their communities. They are neighborhood shop owners, innovators who have created entirely new brands, and employers providing great jobs. They include the many Hispanic-owned small businesses that make Amazon a vibrant, culturally diverse store by offering customers a wide selection of distinct, locally sourced products. Take Bundle and Joy founder and CEO Jess Berger. After nearly 2 decades in the pet industry, this first-generation Latina founded Bundle and Joy to bring superfood nutrition to pet products. Jess says that selling on Amazon allowed her to reach new customers who don't have a retail store near them. Today, Bundle and Joy donates 3% of its proceeds to women in entrepreneurship and to support local communities. We also have Paula Ramirez-Shaw, founder and CEO of Tuckets. Ramirez-Shaw started Tuckets to offer high-quality socks for exercises and says the company is infused with the vibrant spirit of her Colombian roots. Tuckets started selling with Amazon in 2017, and by the second year had grown 300%, steadily climbing to 7-figure business. Each Tucket purchase supports their mission to make a positive impact, from peace building in Colombia to educational programs for girls in Tanzania. When sellers like Jess and Paula succeed, our customers enjoy a better shopping experience. That's why we're proud to advocate for and alongside our selling partners in response to the unique opportunities and challenges they face, and we're honored to partner with USHCC in that pursuit. We look forward to learning from the panel discussions and keynote conversations that Ramiro and his team have put together over the next 2 days. Our team will also be staffing a resource booth outside in the hall, and I hope you'll stop by to learn more about how we can partner with you. So thank you again, Ramiro, and your amazing team, and I wish you all a wonderful 2025 Legislative Summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. De La Torre, for your remarks. Up next, to help us welcome our keynote speaker, the USHCC Board Chairwoman and Vice President for External Affairs at Comcast Corporation, Jackie Puente.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see everyone rolling in here. This is more of a 9:30 crowd than a 9 o'clock crowd, I can tell, because we're busy networking and driving the economy forward. And all kidding aside, it's great to be in this high-energy room with so many friends. It's a new day in Washington. We have a new Congress, a new administration, And I'm proud that today we're going to start pushing our new public policy platform, which is our bold vision for public policy that will help advance Hispanic business and drive economic growth across our country. On another note, I want to thank the board of directors of the USHCC, the staff, everyone who has put together this tremendous program. And as I'm looking across the room, one thing that struck me this morning, and it's kind of a subtle theme in our speakers, we have incredible women leadership in this room, and I want to give a round of applause to all the women. Dr. Kugler, we have Trixie Castro coming, woo, lights on and off, Cece Rojas, Jeanette Pringer, Alice Rodriguez, Betty Minetta, so many amazing women that are a part of this organization that have really made this breakfast this morning and our policy work so impactful. Next, it's a great honor for me to introduce our keynote speaker this morning, who I've known for many, many years, since her previous tours of duty in earlier administrations. Jovita Carranza has been an inspiration for so many business leaders and public policy, public servants. She had an incredible career at UPS as an executive in a really tough business. And so she knows how rubber hits the road, how to keep things moving, keep trains on track, so to speak. She's also served as the Deputy SBA Administrator and SBA Administrator, as well as the Treasurer of the United States. It's a great honor to acknowledge her this morning and to have her address our group. Let's all give a warm welcome to Jovita Carranza, the Honorable Jovita.
It's really inviting. Thought it was going to be mariachis or something, but it was just really calm. When Jackie said, I know something about rubber hitting the road, I had this backflash of when I was with UPS and I was managing the tractor trailers and the package cars, a couple hundred of them in any particular center. And one of my responsibilities was to measure the number of threads and miles those tires. So I know a little bit about cost and efficiencies, so thank you very much. I also want to, before I get into this presentation, share something with one of your sponsors, Romario. The PPP rollout was pretty complicated, as you can imagine. Many of you were benefactors of that particular program. But there were many competing systems amplifying and augmenting our particular government systems. And AWS, Amazon, was very instrumental in supporting us in being efficient, somewhat transparent, and very timely with the rollout of funds for our small businesses and businesses in general. So I applaud what AWS, but I must admit, because I shared it with them, I said, what's with Amazon? They don't do computers, they just do retail. But I learned really quick how effective you all were. And I've had a personal experience, yes, please. They were very instrumental. And many of the sponsors that you have in this particular event, I've had personal experience, been great founders and supporters of the Latino community. So I'll begin by saying, buenos dias. It's an honor to address the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, a powerhouse of innovation and resilience that provides value by building a portfolio of essential benefits designed to empower Hispanic entrepreneurs and foster economic growth. As your former U.S. Treasurer and SBA Administrator, I've seen the tenacity of Hispanic entrepreneurs up close. You are the heartbeat of our communities and a driving force in America's economy. Today, I want to talk about challenges threatening your momentum. Small business tax provisions expiring at the end of 2025, the crushing weight of regulations that stifle your growth, and why we must tackle both to keep Hispanic businesses thriving. During my tenure from 2017 to 2019, the latest one, I witnessed an economic landscape marked by growth and grit. I championed policies that cut red tape and opened doors to capital, fueling a thriving environment for small businesses. Hispanic-owned businesses actually stood out. With over 4.7 million firms generating nearly $800 billion, and you're going to hear that number over and over, you're one of the fastest growing segments of our economy. You employ millions, you spark innovation, and lift neighborhoods, from sponsoring soccer scouts to supporting the local schools. Your culture dynamism doesn't just enrich the marketplace, it powers America's financial strength. We bolstered that strength with initiatives like the Community Advantage Program, delivering capital to underserved communities, including many Hispanic entrepreneurs. Now made permanent as Community Advantage small business lending companies, it's a legacy we've secured for inclusive growth. Vocational training and apprenticeships equipped workers with skills for trades and technical fields, while partnerships with educational institutions align curricula with your needs. The Paycheck Protection Program and economic injury disaster loans during the COVID-19 crisis proved how agile government action can save businesses. I'll never forget the restaurant owners, the plumbers, the barbers, and the retailers, many of them Hispanic, who kept their doors open because of the lifelines that were provided to them. Between 2017 and 2019, small businesses, including yours, added millions of jobs, 1.8 million in 2017. That year was pretty pinnacle for us. Employing nearly 60 million people, or 47% of the private workforce. That's resilience in action. But now we're at a crossroads. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 gave Hispanic small businesses a boost, like the qualified business income deduction under Section 199A. This 20% pass-through deduction lets sole proprietors, partnerships, and S corporations, think your family running a trucking company, the IT security engineers, the taqueria, or construction firm, they will be able to keep more of what they earn. For a business making $100,000, that's $20,000 to hire a new worker, upgrade equipment, or weather a tough month. Yet, it expires on December 31, 2025. If it lapses, your tax bills could jump overnight, hitting Hispanic owners who often operate on razor-thin margins, especially hard. Then there's bonus depreciation, 50% in 2025, phasing out by 2027 unless we act. That deduction is a game changer for Hispanic manufacturing, buying a $50,000 machine to meet a particular demand. Without it, growth stalls. We've seen it happen. These provisions aren't luxuries, they're necessities. But taxes are only half the battle. Hispanic businesses of all sizes face a regulatory gauntlet that's costly and quite complex. Take licensing. A bodega owner, logistics firm, or textiles manufacturing might juggle dozens of permits, each with fees and paperwork, while a big chain has lawyers on speed dial. Tax compliance. The IRS estimates small businesses spend 80 hours, if not more, a year on federal taxes alone. Time you really don't have. Labor rules, from overtime to health mandates, pile on costs, $12,000 per employee annually per the National Small Business Association. For a firm with 5 workers, that's $60,000, money not reinvested in your business infrastructure or your community. We slashed over 30,000 pages of red tape during my tenure, saving billions. But that progress is eroding as new rules creep back, choking the very firms driving our recovery. It's an area of concern. These twin burdens, expiring tax breaks and relentless regulations, threaten the 62 million jobs small businesses support nationwide, many in our communities. The National Association of Manufacturers warns that 6 million jobs are at a risk and a $1 trillion GDP hit if tax relief fades. Add regulatory costs, and the damage deepen. For Hispanic neighborhoods, that's not just numbers, it's livelihoods. According to the CBO, extending these tax measures isn't cheap, about $4 trillion over a decade. But let's be clear, this isn't a handout, it's an investment. Small and Hispanic businesses drive 44% of US economic activity. When you thrive, you hire, you innovate, scale for growth, and pay taxes, fueling our recovery. Pair that with smarter regulations, streamline permits, simplify compliance, close outdated loopholes, and we keep your momentum alive. Look at the Community Advantage Program. Targeted capital sparked inclusive growth. Tax extensions and regulatory relief can do the same. So, what's our plan? So what's the plan? I'll help you out. First, Hispanic entrepreneurs, don't throw away your shot. Share your stories with Congress, and I know you have a Hill visit, and we talked about how to approach that one. How these deductions and regulatory burdens shape your dreams, they need to know the specifics. I've met so many of you, third-generation business owners, the international food products distributor, a unique bakery battling health codes, the veteran launching a contracting business tangled in permits, the farmer feeding our families drowning in tax forms. Your voices matter. Second part of that plan, lawmakers, we talked about red and blue and green. I only know green, okay, from a very young age. Sí, también. Let's bridge the aisle. Oh, you're going to get me into politics now. So we have to get both aisles to support the tax cuts. Prioritize pass-through deductions, depreciation, and a regulatory overhaul. Tools Hispanic businesses need to compete. Third, act now. December 2025 looms, and you can't plan on uncertainty or suffocate under red tape. Hispanic small businesses are young, scrappy, and hungry, just like the spirit Lin-Manuel Miranda captured in Hamilton's My Shot. You're not throwing away your chance to build something lasting. You rise up, betting everything on your vision, whether it's a bodega, a tech startup, or a service that lifts your community. But you need us to rise up too. Extending these tax provisions and slashing costly regulations is your shot at continuing to grow. Innovate and lead. Let's seize this moment together. Gracias, and let's go to work. After all, a goal without a plan is nothing more than a wish. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Jovita Carranza, for your inspiring words. Now, to introduce our upcoming panel discussion, please welcome to the stage President and CEO of the Greater Philadelphia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Jennifer Rodriguez.
Well, this is a crowd that will have a plan, not just a wish, right? Good morning to all. Buenos dias. It is my pleasure to be here at the Legislative Summit. Today's panel is a critical conversation about how smart policy decisions can fuel business growth, strengthen our economy, and create opportunities for entrepreneurs. From tax policy to access to capital, the decisions made in Washington have a direct impact on the ability of small businesses, particularly Latino-owned businesses, to thrive. We're fortunate to have an outstanding group of experts with us today who will help us break down the key policy issues shaping the business landscape. Let me first welcome a distinguished journalist and storyteller who has been the voice for the Latino community, bringing critical conversations to the forefront. Please join me in round of applause for moderator from Telemundo, Carolina Cruz. Next, she is a champion for entrepreneurs, advocating for policies that support small business growth, innovation, and competitiveness. Please welcome President and CEO of the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council, Karen Kerrigan. Also joining us is a panelist who brings a wealth of experience in government relations and tax policy, helping businesses navigate the complexities of Washington to advocate for their needs. Please welcome Principal at Becker Lawyers, Omar Franco. And lastly, we have a visionary entrepreneur who has built a successful venture and understands firsthand what it takes to grow businesses in today's economic and policy environment. Please welcome Trixie Castro. And with that, let us be guided through this important discussion by our moderator, Carolina Cruz. Gracias.
Gracias, Jennifer. Gracias. Bueno, primero que nada, buenos días. Everybody's awake. We got some good coffee, some good food. Glad to have you guys all here. We have a very busy agenda, and I know there's a lot of topics in mind, but right now, one of the very first ones that sometimes we don't want to talk about, but it's a very important one, taxes. Pero everything you know with a good light. So many of you already know about the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. It's a legislation from back in 2017, taken action by President Trump during his first term. And right now we're all waiting to see what's gonna happen, whether there's gonna be modifications, extension, and how this is gonna impact all business owners nationwide. I know we have people here from Illinois, Texas, California. So this is something that impacts us all, not just like they said. Everything that happens here in DC affects nationwide. So with that said, let's go with one of our first questions. So whether you're Republican or Democrat, you want to know. Let's start this question with Omar. As a respected lobbyist, we know you get a lot of insights to what's going on. So let's be real.
Yeah.
There's the journalist in here in the room.
Sure.
What can we expect? And if anything, if there's going to be action taken, when it might actually happen?
Right. Well, I came with props, see? So
Bueno.
this is 51 pages right now. I'm going to look under the hood of the House Ways and Means Committee. So they are actively going through this document, and trust me, this is the skinny budget right here. This is not the, but they're going through everything right now, line by line. As it was described to me by two Ways and Means members of the Republican side, they were literally in captivity for 8 hours being pumped up with caffeine and junk food the whole time to go over every single section of the tax code. And it's a little bit like a balloon, right? So if you see here, it's kind of hard to see, but it says the viability, high, medium, or low. So this means good, bad, or ugly. So every member of Congress on the committee is going to have to submit what they love, what they hate, and what they can live with. So it's a very intensive process. I don't mean to gloss over it by any means, but just know that if you have a tax credit right now that you deeply care about, the time to go lobby your congressman is today. Don't wait till tomorrow, don't wait for the next day, it is today. Because they are actively deciding, and it's like a balloon, right? If you squeeze on one side, you need to pay for it on the other side. So in here, it clearly shows, if you reduce the corporate rate to 15%, it's a $733 billion in costs. So how do you pay for that, right? So, and then the real discussions go, this is predicated on a 10-year extension. President Trump has said he wants permanent extensions, right? So what does that cost and where do you get it from? But here's the list. Anthony Hinojosa has it here. Happy to share with anybody who's interested. But it is very detailed, very extensive. They're taking their job very seriously. And the timeline is they're going to wait till now They're going to try and pass the budget reconciliation in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Let's keep
First
our
things
fingers
first.
crossed. I've heard they want to get it all done by Memorial Day. Obviously, very aggressive, very optimistic. I don't know if the Senate is quite on the same page as the House right now. That's a normal thing. So, but I'll leave it at that and happy to answer more questions.
No, I understand, and thank you for being sincere because, like you said, the time is now. And we say that because this is the whole idea of us having this type of discussions. Where do we stand and how this is going to affect me? And I like how you mentioned about the specific tax cuts that we can live with or what can we live without, because it actually goes into segue for my next question for Karen. So one of the things that I think is very important that we have you here in the panel is that you bring in the perspective of the small business entrepreneurs, in general. So with that said, what are some of the tax cuts that we should really keep an eye on and why, in your opinion?
Well, in the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act package, there were some very critical ones for small business. Obviously, the Section 199A, the 20% small business deduction paired with, the lower individual income tax rates that helped to bring, parity for pass-throughs and small businesses with C Corps in terms of the permanent 21% rate. The higher exemptions, on the death tax, bonus depreciation in terms of encouraging investment. A big one that is already gone is immediate R&D expensing, which is really important for the innovative small businesses in this country. According to our surveys, 30% of small businesses actually use the research and development, the immediate R&D expensing, which not only drives innovation and vibrancy, but also the competitiveness of the U.S. economy. If we're really concerned about sort of where we stack up globally, right, against China and other countries in terms of maintaining the technological edge across industries, I mean, that is a really, really critical component. Extending, really, we need to extend these tax cuts. I mean, making them permanent would be great, but they can't fail in this regard because these are really, really critical for small businesses. Obviously, I think in 2017, they weren't expecting the pandemic, inflationary pressures and all that to occur after. But if it wasn't for, some of this tax relief, small businesses really would have been hard pressed. I mean, when we ask business owners in our surveys, they say that this tax relief was critical in terms of helping them to navigate inflationary pressures, allowed them to maintain employees, to do more innovation, to pay down debt, to actually not raise prices, which is good from a competitiveness perspective. And you're right, I mean, just to stay afloat and to stay alive. If you look at the 20% deduction alone, that one piece of the TCJA, that was responsible for $325 billion in economic growth, 2.6 million jobs, and $161 billion in employee payroll. So this is critical for small businesses. There's still a lot of uncertainties out there, but we want to get beyond survival and uncertainty to like robustness and massive growth. And we think, definitely these tax provisions are important to that end.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. We want to go from surviving to thriving.
Exactly.
That's what you're trying to get. Talking about thriving, I think we have a good example here, Trixie. You're considered a successful, executive, also right now, most recently in real estate investments. Can you tell us a little bit more about your story and how the Tax Cuts Jobs Act actually helped you? So, for people here in the room to really understand how was that like. And I love how you made the mention of the pandemic because it's not something we were expecting at all.
Right, no, absolutely. So I'll give you the quick Reader's Digest version of the story. I'll keep you here all day. But my story actually started at 14 years old. I went out and I made the soccer team and cheer at the same time. I was so excited until I realized, oh my goodness, each sport is gonna cost $1,000. So how was I gonna go to my parents who did not have $2,000 just laying around? I was gonna get a job, except for turns out at 14, nobody's gonna hire you. So I said, okay, all right, let me figure out what resources I have. Across the street, we had the rich neighbor who had a word processor. So went to her house, and remember the old school computer paper with the bubbles on the side, right? Went there, got my sister's Crayola magic markers, and created Trixie's tutor time. Went across the street to an elementary school, said to the principal, hey, listen, can you introduce me to a couple of the teachers in the 1st and 2nd grade? I'm gonna make that my sweet spot. Then I'm gonna hire 5th and 6th graders, and we're gonna make this a thing. He introduced me, he did his part, I did my part. A month later, I hired my mom to be my driver so I could expand in schools. So all that to say that what it taught me was, yes, you can, right? Where there's a will, there's a way. So I said, let me figure out how this money thing works. Waited till I was a little bit older, walked into a Wells Fargo, which is a sponsor here, said, hey, can I be a teller? I must tell you, I was the world's worst teller. But what I learned was that you follow the money, right? So my larger depositors were gamblers, not for me, real estate and tech. So I thought, all right, let me learn this. I wanted to understand how were they making money. They were going to the courthouse steps, taking wads of cashier's checks in those days, hiring people like myself in school, right, in college, to go out to the courthouse steps and buy these distressed assets, fix them up and sell them, or fix them up and hold them as a rental portfolio. And I thought, that's interesting. Why can't we lend them money? Right? And at that time, it was owner-occupied loans, not these B2B, non-occupant loans. And I was looking at these groups, and I'm thinking, if they're doing 5 or 6 a month, how do we get them to 20, 25 a month? So decided I'm going to go start my own bank. And I've made business cards before. Asked my mom, can I have that old desk that's in the garage? She said, sure. Got my office in the ghetto. I got robbed by a homeless guy every Friday.
Oh my God.
And anyway, that's how I created a company called Genesis Capital. Let me tell you about my dream team. Also a 14-year-old girl who was working for a prom dress, a whole nother story. Her best friend, when she made the play in the high school, Bye Bye Birdie, my nephew who I paid in gas money, and an intern because he wanted to go out on Friday nights. This was the little engine that could, and we turned that company to where we were doing $3.5 to $4 billion a year of short-term paper. And sold that to Goldman Sachs, right? And we all still work together today. There's the real story, right? But as a result of that, we started to see during that same time that there was also another opportunity to utilize some of these tax savings, okay, and reinvest into our business. And instead of being behind the curveball, it was now, how am I going to utilize technology and go help these banks and servicers and help them get the distressed assets off of their books? Because, hey, I've got this whole universe over here that this is their thing, right? So to make a long story short, had the good fortune to sell that company to Fidelity National. So 2 between 9 months. That's a whole nother panel on how much I aged during those 9 months. But my point being that it was things like that, right? It was opportunities like that pre and post-COVID to be able to say, how are we going to stop, reflect on our business, really focus in on how we can utilize today's resources that we have, utilize these tax savings, put them back into where we see the need and create opportunity and be the forefront of the market instead of playing catch up with our businesses. And so fast forward to today, I have the great privilege of working with my companies and so many other entrepreneurs and founders and helping them build their dreams and their companies and sitting down with them almost on a monthly basis about this specific topic. Okay, how are we going to take these savings that we have? And we're not just going to go spend them willy-nilly. How are we going to put them into our business or create other verticals in our business? And it has been an incredible thing to be able to do that because it's found money.
Exactly. No, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story.
It was quick.
No, but I love how you were talking about like how family and friends end up making all of this possible, because a lot of people in the room, I'm sure that's how it started. It started as an idea, it started as a wish, and then with everybody getting together, they actually made it happen. Talking about making it happen, we all know, especially people here who live in DC, this question's more for you, Omar. With all the legislative priorities of the Trump administration, really, how likely is this to be extended permanently or perhaps modified? Because at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people here in the room are concerned of what if they expired? What if we're like in a limbo for a period of time? Because a lot of people here, they still have to pay, all that entails to keep a business afloat. Any advice you have on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there is close coordination between the White House, the House, and even the Senate now, more than ever before. They have two bites at the apple, right? Budget reconciliation. They can, the Senate wants to go to, President Trump wants to go the big, beautiful bill, right? And here it is. So the trick is going to be, you know, where do we go? If we go no tax on tips, that has a huge cost associated with it. And so where are we going to pay for that, right? And so now part of it, he's coming up with some very innovative ideas. I thought that the Sovereign Wealth Fund, I'm still looking into that to seeing what that entails. But a U.S. sovereign wealth fund, I think is a brilliant idea, right? It's a way for the United States to invest in things. It's to compete against China's Belt and Road Initiative, right? So I'm looking at things like that. But going back to your question, I think it's going to be a year, end of year this year. I think this administration and Congress takes this very seriously. This is their #1 job this year, right? To get a lot of these extended. They want to extend it permanently. We don't know if the money's there. And then that's when you start playing around with the numbers. Is it 10 years? Is it 7 years? Is it 5 years, right? They're going to try and get the best they can with the money that they're going to be allotted, right? And you know, part of this is where do the tariffs come into this equation, right? It's kind of like building a capital stack, right? You're kind of bringing in all these different money. So this administration also understands they have 18 months, right? From January, basically 20th, to July of next year, right? That's the window. And after that, we get into the midterm elections and more, right, we don't know if there's going to be change or not, you know? Depends, you know, who you talk to on the Democratic side or the Republican side. But that's why you're seeing, and Ramiro kind of looked at it, said shock and awe, right? And they're moving incredibly fast on everything, right? And part of the reason is because they completely understand, meaning Congress and the administration, that they have a short amount of time to get this done.
They'll get this done.
So I think it's end of year. Look at December to be extremely busy. Do not plan any vacation before December 24th. So I'm telling that to my lobby friends. It's going to be right up until the last minute. I think that's when the dam's going to break and something will get done.
Okay. Ladies, Karen, let's start with you, because I feel like that's one of the things I really want people to get out of this panel. Like, what are some of the advice as somebody from the small business entrepreneur perspective? What can we do while we wait, and what if they expire? Because I think that's the holding pattern for many people here.
Well, as entrepreneurs and business owners, you got to push Congress. I mean, that is, and I'll echo what Jovita said in terms of, you know, getting up to the Hill, telling your story, talking about the importance, you know, of this tax relief package. You know, I know there's a big meeting at the White House today. The Senate and the House are going to be meeting with the president. Hopefully there'll be some alignment coming out of that in terms of getting the budget resolution across the finish line in the Senate. Then I'll have to go back to the House. We're going to be seeing some ping-ponging for a while. But I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic than Omar, and I think they're going to get it done before August. This is a critical priority. They are hearing from business owners and entrepreneurs. They need to be hearing, I think, more. And I just wish this would be more of a bipartisan thing. And I think getting up to the Hill and talking to both Democrats and Republicans about the importance of this is really critical. I mean, for example, tomorrow you do see both a Republican and a Democrat, Senators Young and Hassan, reintroducing the immediate R&D expensing bill. And there's a lot of these provisions where we have bipartisan support, right? So, I mean, my hope is that we somehow get to that. I think they're going to move quickly. This is a priority. You already see, I think, small businesses in our surveys pulling back a little bit in terms of the uncertainty and investment, and the cumulative impact of that does have an impact. So I think we're sensing that, we're seeing that in the numbers and in the confidence right now. So again, I am confident, and I believe it will happen before August, but it's going to have to take a lot of pushing, you know, from the business community, particularly the small business community, about the importance of this, you know, to their growth, to their survival, and their competitiveness. So,
Why it matters.
Yeah.
Trixie, as a successful business owner yourself, anything you would like to add on the outlook?
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. I think let your voice be heard. Right now is the time to go out there and have your voice and your story heard. And I think that there's so much power in that, And also, I have to say, look, I look at it from a perspective as a business person, but also in real estate. Any time that you see that there's question, right, and that there's unease, all that means is opportunity. And I think if you take a step back as a business owner and you say, okay, here's where we are today, but look at all these opportunities. Look at all this opportunity that's coming back to the US, right? What can I do with those resources? And how can I expand my model? And how can I grow from it? You start to see that. And I think that there's so much to be said. And I think utilizing your voice and taking a look at how you can expand and grow with the opportunities that we have today between now and December 24th, I think you can change the whole landscape for yourself.
Nochebuena.
Nochebuena,
La
exactly.
Nochebuena. El mundo va a esperar ese regalito de Navidad. Mucha gente aquí, me refiero. So before we leave, because I know we have like about 2 minutes, if you could give everybody just like, I call it in Spanish, una gotita del saber, like one nugget of how we could keep competitive in our various industries, keeping into account our economy keeps evolving. We have talked about this separately, how the workforce is changing, how we have to prepare for our labor workforce to take sometimes in other roles. Just like a nugget of information, something you would like to people here take to their states, and how to remain competitive, even though the economy keeps evolving, and we really don't know what's gonna happen now with the Trump administration, and what decisions they're gonna actually take when it comes to business owners. Please.
I would just say continue to innovate, continue to really explore, AI tools in your business and, technology platforms. I mean, this has been a game changer for small businesses, according to all our surveys and polls. I know Dr. Kugler said Latino entrepreneurs are adopting AI, but I think, just across your operations where you can embed that technology, not only good for your competitiveness and your survival, but also leveling up the skills of your workforce. Employees love this, and being able to work on the business and to getting rid of a lot of the friction and the menial tasks in the business. So I would just continue to say, I think up to date on, there's a lot of great resources out there in terms of AI.
It's time to get off the sidelines. If you're going to think that your association or some organization is going to be the one advocating for you, let me tell you, you need to advocate for yourself. The free rider, the time to sit back on the sideline hoping things go your way is long past. You gotta engage now. If you don't wanna hire a lobbyist, paid political ad.
Yeah, he's
if you,
look.
but lobby for yourself, but lobby for your business, lobby for your community, because I will say this, so many businesses are very conservative and say, well, I don't want to lobby directly, or I don't want to say what I need done. I'd rather let my association do it, or I'd rather let my trade group do it. The associations and the trade groups that I currently represent are only as good as their member companies engaging and being the first line, because you guys are the ones actually creating the jobs and building up our communities. We need your voice to be effective on our side of the aisle. So please figure it out. It can be very cost effective. It is worth the investment, trust me.
I would say take a look at your business, right? Utilizing AI and technology, all the resources. Of course, I agree with you, utilizing your voice for such a time as this, but also be real with yourself and take a look at where your challenges are in your business, right? Where are your weak spots? And make the assumption that if you have those challenges, others do too, and how do you monetize that? So you solve it for yourself and you solve it for others, and I'm telling you, in times of disarray, there's always opportunity if you can just really take a look at it and say, okay, how am I gonna grow this? It's not an actual issue, it's a growth opportunity.
Bueno, muchas gracias a todos por su tiempo. Thank you, everyone. Please, let's give them a round of applause. I know it's a busy day ahead, so I don't want to keep you any longer, but just like they say, take action. Take action, now's the time. Gracias.
Thank you to our distinguished panelists for their valuable insights. This concludes the General Session Breakfast. Up next, our Legislative Summit breakout sessions will begin promptly at 10:30 a.m. Small Businesses Powering America's Energy Policy Future will take place in the Chinese Ballroom, lobby level. Gateway to Growth, Puerto Rico Reshoring and American Jobs will be held in the District Ballroom, lower level. We also invite you to return to the Grand Ballroom at 12 p.m. for our General Session Keynote Luncheon. It will kick off with a keynote from Commissioner Ana Gomez from the Federal Communications Commission. You will also witness an insightful discussion on the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, and its impact on trade, tariffs, and policy changes shaping North American business. Don't miss this opportunity to gain key insights from industry leaders and policymakers. We look forward to seeing you there.